The king of roofing, and now the king of Delta Raceway, Northwest Ohio's Rocky Conley, is next.
What's up, guys? This is Jeremy McGrath, the King of Supercross, and you are listening to the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is Season 3, Episode 6 of the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, too, and comment below. Marty and I always thank you so much for your support. Today's guest is from right here in Northwest Ohio, a diehard motocross enthusiast and racer, a man who has built businesses the hard way, from the ground up, and with hard work. The new king of Delta Raceway, welcome, Rocky Conley, to the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. How you doing?
Pretty good. I appreciate you having me, Matt.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming out.
It's only been, 2.5 months, 3 months, trying to get our schedules together?
Well, part of that's my fault. It's just with the kids and work, you know how it is. It just time. But this feels good. It feels like getting back on a bike again. Really does. And,
It's been a crazy spring.
It has been.
I don't know. I imagine with the track, I'm not sure how much of you've had to get beat up with the weather and that kind of stuff. Been a nice spring, but cold, dreary,
It's been a tough one. I mean, from all angles. I mean, it's either obviously super wet out, or you get them days where it's super windy, and you know yourself, trying to keep moisture in a track with those conditions are
tough,
nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Without creating a greasy surface. So it's a learning curve.
Well, speaking about, not only the track, but I imagine that probably puts a little hinder to your guys up on a roof on a windy day too. So
it's not no fun. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's when you're dealing with the public. The public doesn't understand. Everybody wants
50 mile an hour.
they don't understand high wind warnings.
You think they would, you know what I mean? But
when you see bundles of shingles go flying off the road, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's just something to manage. But I guess living here my whole life, it's something you kind of get used to. But again, the general public can be tricky.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what's for the audience? Because I would just assume that maybe somebody in the audience doesn't know exactly what you do. Talk about your rock roofing.
Well, we're roofing installers. I've been doing this since probably 2004.
Okay.
I was originally a subcontractor for probably up until 2010 for some of the bigger companies, pretty much all the old Ohio roofings, all the bigger companies all use subcontractors, and I was happily a subcontractor for 5-6 years. Then got pretty deep in with one company that we were running pretty hard together for a couple years, and then separated. And then in 2011 is when I went public, and I think I got my license in 2010ish, just kind of leading up to the public reveal, and been a sole just public company since 2011.
So that's not that long ago,
no?
Right? I mean, that's a little over a decade, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that's not that. So, did you? So you were an installer, right?
Yep, installer, just shingle layer. It's what that's what I got good at.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, when did you start doing that? Did you do that as a kid, or how did you get involved with that?
Well, I think when I had a daughter at a young age. I think probably 17 years old, and that was pretty much the end of school, obviously. So I think I did 10th or 11th grade in school, and I was working maybe like OmniSource was my first job when I turned 18.
Okay,
and worked there for a couple of months, and I was sitting out in my garage. I lived on LaGrange Street at the time. I had a daughter, and I've been with my wife now since, obviously, before that. So we've been together since we were 16 years old.
Wow.
Long time. And
she put up with you that long, huh?
Yeah, still going.
Well, you just turned 25 though, right?
Right. Yeah, he's not very old.
Yeah.
37 now.
Okay.
Yeah, young man.
Yep, 37, and I was just sitting out in the garage, and my buddy's dad owned a company called All Star Roofing.
Okay.
And it was just, he was driving by. He started drinking beer real early in the morning. And OmniSource that day was through actually like a temporary agency when I worked through them. So I was just, that temporary agency they had some sort of layoff program or something. I don't really remember how it worked, but I was just sitting there working on a car or something that day. And he comes by and he says, what are you doing not working? And I was like, well, whatever the case was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you want to come roofing? I said, well, let's give it a shot. And obviously I'd never done no roofing at that point. And a couple weeks into it, I started to catch on, and, I've always been like a busy hands, kind of mechanically inclined person.
Mm-hmm.
Always was working on cars and stuff like that. And one of the things that working for like an OmniSource or something that I learned like kind of quickly, just being in with, 10, 12 guys on a shift, was that no matter how hard I worked or what you did extra, you just got an hourly pay. And one of the first things that kind of drew me to roofing, the biggest thing that drew me to roofing, aside from being outdoors, being up high, was always kind of a monkey climbing around, so was that you got paid by what you did. So a roof has like squares on it, a 10 foot by 10 foot area is 100 square feet, but in roofing we call it 1 square.
Okay. So
you got paid by the square. So everybody tore off the roof together, and when it came time to lay the shingles down, are you familiar with Underwriters Laboratories?
Mm-hmm.
We call it UL. Basically, they're inspectors or final quality approval company, I would say.
Okay.
So on each bundle of shingles, there's only one square on it on that whole package, there's no duplicates of it. It's called a UL. So as a roofer, you just did you cut out that one little UL for every bundle of shingles that you laid. So you'd tear open a bundle of shingles, you put that UL in your pocket, and at that time, that was $7 a bundle is what you got paid to lay.
Sort of like box tops. You're too young for that, but
yeah,
we say box tops.
Yeah, so your box tops were our ULs. You got for every bundle of shingles you laid. So the goal was to try to get as many ULs as possible.
Right.
And I just I got real good at it. I just was always I'd like to get as many sections in as possible on a roof. Each different plane of the roof is a section. As roofer
right.
talk. There's on a main up and over roof that's just 2 sections, and you get into cut up houses with dormers and stuff like that. You get quite a bit of different sections. So
right.
every roofer starts on a section, and it's kind of a totem pole. The longer you've been with a company or your seniority, I would kind of would be probably the best word. The bigger wide open section was yours first.
Okay.
Therefore, you got more ULs. You made more money.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So take you get a roof with a bunch of little sections. We call that cut up, and that's simply because you got to pull your knife out of your pocket, a million times on each roof, cut every shingle. You got to run all the flashings. So I guess to get to those big wide open sections, you had to obviously stay with the company you're with. You had to get good at doing all the flashings, doing all the cut up work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could go jump on one of the bigger sections with one of the better or older or more seniority roofers.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of my introduction to everything. And I enjoyed it. And I still to this day enjoy it. I like the camaraderie of a crew. You get a bunch of good guys that are all out for the same reason. Let's get this roof done. Let's get it done. Let's get home by 1, 2 o'clock.
Right.
And
before it's 99 degrees out and scorching hot.
And it's said too, the teamwork. When you have a good team, it just seems like you get to the end of the day, you really didn't work. It just seems like it just went by so fast. Everyone went so smooth. When you have a good, and when you don't have a good team, it's like, oh my God, I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Right.
And but I was when he was talking about having to work that hard. My dad's favorite saying was, "You need more money, work harder." That was his goal. Yeah, that was his saying. I'm not going to give it to you. Just work harder.
That's simple.
And make your money. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work the way things go these days. But
no, not always.
but a good company though. That's the way it started for sure. So how many crews do you have?
We have 4 residential crews, 1 commercial crew, and a couple service guys.
How many roofs do you do? Let's just say, I say a week or a month, whatever.
A year is
Or a year. Better easier to do it a year.
We do around 600 roofs a year.
Wow.
Now you, if I remember right, you have like a special connection with Corning.
Owens Corning, yep.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're what's called a platinum contractor, which there's a couple different things you got to do to become a platinum contractor. I think we have like 4 or 5 in the I don't know if it's the state of Ohio or this region. It's only so many per many miles. You have to do, obviously you have to have an outstanding record of, reviews. Mm-hmm. It's based on reviews. It's based on sales and obviously time in business. So I think when you're in business with perfectly clean reviews for, I think 7.5 years, including your subcontractor.
Is it like BBB reviews? Better Business Review?
Well, these are a little more, I guess you'd say, intimate than that.
Okay.
Simply, they're all like personal.
So does Corning reach out to these customers?
They reach out, yeah, absolutely.
Like
So directly to the end user.
Yeah, so basically it eliminates any awkwardness between the customer and the contractor. Like,
Right.
if I just did your roof and I call you for a review,
Right.
you're probably going to be a little nicer than, you're probably going to leave some of the things out. Well, they left, nails in my driveway. There's things that, and that's what I liked about the program is that it allowed me to understand. It allowed the customer to open up a little bit more, and give any details that we might have missed.
Right.
And therefore, I felt like bettered us as a company.
Nice.
Absolutely. Because once I seen, because you've got the Pink Panther on your vans, I always, for some reason that always stuck out for me. So when I see a roofer, I always look, but I don't know that I've ever seen around here. I don't know that I've ever seen any mention even of Corning on anybody's vans.
Well, one of the biggest things too, even like the simple things like the Pink Panther on my dirt bike and stuff. That's stuff that is pretty hard to get licensed to print that. Like Warner Brothers actually owns that.
Oh, really?
So you got to go through quite a few steps to be able, like Decal Works, a lot of the big companies don't have the rights to actually print.
You can't just use it, right?
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons you'll only see legally, like only one I know of in the nation that has the Pink Panther on their dirt bike or like a sponsorship, I don't know if you'd say referral, but to where you're relating and kind of you're showing a company on your dirt bike.
Yeah, what do they call it? Now they call that, is it associate sponsorship now?
Could be.
They've got they're coming up with some different things, but I guess
it's all marketing.
Or even
right?
the word Corning. I mean, you don't see a lot of guys advertising even the Corning
Owens
side of life,
Corning,
which you would think, which is a very big name. I mean, my parents all came from Corning Glass, which is on the food side of life, but
Right.
But yeah, you don't see that much. That's why I always see a van, I look, and I never really see, other than their name, you don't really see that they're associated with something like that, which makes a big difference. To me, when I see something like that you're sort of tagged to a national brand, that makes a bigger deal.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it does anyway.
It does, and it's a pride thing too. I was very proud to get, obviously I just told you I was never graduated high school, so to be able to get a lot of these accreditations that come from just true, grit and hard work.
Right.
I think, it's always meant a lot to me.
Well, you can't. I mean, criminy sakes, you pretty much could write a book on, how to do it the hard way. I
Yep.
mean, literally. I mean, the roofing's hard work, and not having a high school education, which makes it very much probably more difficult to do things, right?
I'm sure he got an education when he's starting out with a company.
That's what I mean.
They're different sort of smarts. Don't get me wrong. I got kids that are much more book smart than me.
Right.
I mean,
But can't nail into the roof.
But you didn't get. I guess the point is you didn't. Because I think some folks. I remember I went to high school with a kid, and he unfortunately, like 2 months to go, didn't make it. Didn't make it to graduation. It's like, man, you were so close. And I don't know the circumstance, so I don't want to judge that, but. Like your perseverance, I guess is the key word, is you didn't, it'd been easier just, but then you had your daughter, right? And you're like,
that was the start of it all. Absolutely.
And congratulations on that, because how much easier at 17 years old to just, throw in the towel on all of it on life and all of it would have been the easy way.
Right.
But you decided not to do that. And thank
Well,
God the guy drinking beer at 8 in the morning stopped over and picked you up, right?
Now, fast forward. Now she's in college.
Right.
She's gonna be a veterinarian.
Where's she going to school?
Finley.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gonna be a veterinarian.
Cool.
Chase those animals around.
Yeah.
So that's not all you do. You don't just roof. You play around with airplanes. Well, sorta.
Yeah.
You work on airplanes, or if you want to tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
what's up with that?
Which is, I'm driving down the road, and it's like every 20 minutes I was trying to think of 104 is a commercial. Between him and Suburban. Suburban's trying to get pilots, and you guys are trying to get mechanics. So tell us about that endeavor.
Well, that my couple years in high school, one of the things that I did do, I originally went to Woodward.
Okay.
But my 9th grade year, I had it was like semi-transfer. I don't know how it exactly worked through school. It's kind of hard to remember, but I went to the aviation program. And so I've always enjoyed, that, just kind of the mechanics of that. But again, I think 10th grade was the last year I was in school, so I can't say that I was in aviation.
Right.
But I've always had an interest in that sort of thing. Obviously, jets and planes, I think everybody likes them. They're just amazing machines. And this kind of it ties into roofing in its own way. I was doing a roof off of Alexis Road, and this was at the time when I had like a 22-man crew. We did 2-3 full roofs in a day. We'd leave my house on LaGrange Street. Probably 6:15, 6:20, we'd take off from there. We'd hit our first house and get it done a couple hours. And I would try to line them up to where if we're doing a couple a day, there would obviously be smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first one of the day. It was a smaller, probably 25 square house. We pull up, and I think it was probably, we got there. We always stopped at Speedway in the morning. So after our Speedway trip,
get those refreshments in, right?
Donuts and coffee.
well, that's when the hot dogs. When the hot dogs were
the
2 for
best.
$1.
Oh, yes. That's when they were still good in the morning before they turned green.
Yeah. So after our Speedway stop, we got to the house. We got to the homeowner's property probably 7:15, and at about 10:45, 11 o'clock, we're wrapping up hoses, and the guy across the street comes out. He had previously had a roofing company when he was younger. His name's Brad McDonald. He's my partner in the school now. He's the head instructor for the Toledo Public Schools program.
Mm-hmm.
And
Been there quite a long time.
yeah, and he was the promoter of the Tough Man contest at the time. And a lot of my roofers fought in the Tough Man. It's kind of one of those things go hand in hand. A bunch of brutes out there beating each other up. And so. We got done with that roof probably 10:45, 11 o'clock. He says, "What, are you guys not doing it?" I said, "No, we're done." He said, "We're done? I just woke up." And we're just messing around, and he used cool words like, "Man, it's like an organized symphony." You know what I mean? He just, roofing, organized chaos. He was very appreciative to what was happening. He understood the full process of doing a roof. So he was kind of like mind blown, and we'd become good friends. That he actually got me involved in helping promote the Tough Man and sponsor the Tough Man, and kind of a friendship developed over the years. I think that was probably 2011-ish, probably.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the first years I had all the vans and stuff.
Cool.
So he's talking, and was pretty impressed with that. A couple years passed by. I had become friends with even his sons and stuff. They stop over at my house to this day a lot. Tristan's a good buddy of mine, and he's my marina neighbor. He's my neighbor at the marina. And a couple years ago, Toledo Public Schools was doing a lot of changes, and Brad was one of those guys that went above and beyond for the person or the company that he's working for with. I mean, pure integrity, desire, no sort of side work, no sort of, outside motives. He went truly hard for the company or persons he was working with. And he had lifted the Toledo Public Schools program like a lot. They only had a couple students when he started, and his passion for the industry and like just teaching in general. You know, he's a discipline type guy. He likes to stick to, you know, discipline along with learning. So
Right.
he did a lot for the program and was promised from several different people that he was going to be the director for the new like ANSAT program, the new building and the new program they have now.
What's that? What does the ANSAT mean?
It's like aviation and
Technologies.
yeah, something to do with aviation and natural science. I don't know the exact abbreviations.
Right. Okay.
And so that last minute they changed things up on him, and he took it pretty hard. You know, I was out at the marina at this time. This might have been a year before motocross. I'm not sure. Maybe it was my first year into motocross, right around when I had met you, Marty.
Mm-hmm.
And he just was, you know, I'm going to start looking for a new occupation. He's like, I've tried everything here. I've got a lot of years invested, and I don't really know where to go from here. And just bouncing around, talking on the boat. He was good friends with Paul Toth, who was the president of the Port Authority.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Paul had told him in the past that, you know, if you ever need anything, reach out. You know, I appreciate what you've done with Toledo Public Schools. And Brad was telling me about his relationship, and over that conversation had originated the idea of like, what would it take to, you know, to get, that's a high school program, which without, you know, a lot of different sort of backings, you can't really get into high school teaching. It's a different animal than adult education.
Didn't they tried adults there for a little bit? Didn't they do it a couple days a night, a week or something, adults? I don't think it lasted very long, because Andrew went through there and graduated from there. And I want to say they were doing some adults, but just never really worked, because it really wasn't set up for adults.
Yeah, I can't really answer that 100%. I don't actually know the details on it.
Yeah, I was thinking when Andrew was going there.
But we started talking about the ideas, and, you know, I've always had the state of mind to kind of, I mean, what's it take to do it on your own?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his first initial response, like, it'd be near impossible. It'd cost too much money and stuff like that. And, you know, it was still going pretty hard. Maybe a week later, I was like, well, I mean, what type of money are we talking here, and what type of investments? And he actually sat down and started crunching numbers, started getting the actual 147 plan. The 147 is the FAA's what word would you use? Their classification for that type of school. It's an
Okay.
airframe power plant school. It's called a Part 147.
Okay.
And he started looking it up, and we started crunching numbers, and I felt like, you know, with a couple years time, you know, it'd be worth it, you know. So I went in on the side of construction and funding to help build the dream, you know, build classrooms, get the hangar that we have now. The Port Authority helped us out immensely with. It was basically just an old storage hangar. I'm sure, did you see it before we took over, Marty?
Yep.
It was,
I was in there for a little bit.
it was, you know, it was before the masks, and you had to wear a mask in there. Like, there
Oh.
was thousands of birds. I mean, like, that lived in the rafters.
Oh, yeah.
The old Corning,
So there was
the
no
old Corning
doors.
hangars.
It was an old Owens Corning hangar. So
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons I had felt a weird connection with
Yeah,
it. It was
yeah,
an
yeah.
Owens Corning hangar, originally built for Owens Corning and Champion spark plugs, actually.
Yep.
So I liked that sort of aura about it. The connection was good.
Yeah.
You know, so we worked on it for a year straight, just between the cleaning, getting the floors done. You know, it's 80,000 square feet, so it's big.
Wow.
And a lot of work. And, you know, quite a few people helped us out with it.
Cool.
And yeah, just had 2 years into getting the license for it. And that again is its own set of hurdles.
Yeah.
You know, and Brad dealt with, you know, much of that stuff, along with just giving me equipment list of stuff we needed. Okay, boom, we need this. You know, you had one list down, whew, here comes 3 more lists.
Right.
You know, it's like,
A lot of red tape with it all on the paperwork side.
Well, you know, the paperwork side probably not as much, but, you know, building out what he did, buying all the equipment he did, was nothing compared to what Brad did. Brad had to put the manuals together, and I've been involved. I've been involved in that, and sometimes you could go 3-4 years on one manual
Yes.
on cleanup. I mean, it's just, I mean, they want to know what you're going to do, and, you know, just for weather or different
Yeah.
circumstances. Everything has to be a manual.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean,
As,
and they,
as a passenger, it's refreshing to hear that.
oh, it is. I mean, it's
very much
immense.
so.
Yeah,
You know, it's, you know, so just the manuals, and the manuals aren't cut and paste.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because you have a business like that, you know, just because you go to Embry-Riddle, I can't take their stuff because
Right.
it's made for them. It's
Right.
set up for them and how they teach and how they do. So he had to do curriculum. He had to do manuals. He had to do rules, regulations. He had to set all that stuff. And then you've got to please a couple. I mean, you probably didn't have too many FAA people working with you, did you?
Oh, they actually assigned us a team to help us.
Oh, did they?
Not a lot, not to work against us, but
Yeah.
to
Wow, that's
actually
amazing.
We don't like that word. The cannot be the. It has to be and. Like,
Very true.
and then, you know, after 6 months we're doing it and you give it to them, they go back, oh, yeah, no, and.
Not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's great to know that they're so particular,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm just, does Brad have any hair left?
No.
Yeah, I was
What's
gonna
wrong
say.
with guys
He had
with
a
no
little-
hair?
he had a little bit
What's,
left,
wait, whoa, whoa. What's wrong with guys no hair?
It's hard work. Hard work and stress is what it is. I don't hard work. I don't have stress. So I have long hair. But why, you know, I say just so we move on to what we came for, is talking about dirt bikes. But so, you know, why having an adult program?
Well, the answer is pretty simple. That's what you hear a lot on the radio is, you know, the airlines themselves predict within the next few years, they're going to need over 600,000. I know the numbers seem just crazy, but this is what their predictions are, is what they're
The
going to
retirement on is coming up is going to be huge.
Yes.
There's a huge retirement. And then
Is this for commercial aviation?
Commercial
right?
aviation.
Or, well, it's what it all is, right? Or would it be for private, like Owens
commercial. It's all
Corning?
commercial.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all commercial. That's what they're looking
all
for is to
commercial.
do. You know, I mean, I'm sure they'll do private, but the commercial airlines or pilots, the problem is that two things happen. One is you had a big hiring, however many years ago, 40 years ago or whatever, with all these pilots and mechanics and all this kind of stuff. Well, now they're getting ready to retire. And then a lot of mechanics and stuff like that, when the airlines were having tough times and going bankrupt, they left and they found out jobs of doing roofs or working at some company. Or so not only did they lose, you know, going to lose qualified pilots
Yeah.
because of retirement, they lost a lot that said, I'm not going back. You know, when's it going to come back?
and
You
no
know,
stability.
yeah, no stability at the time because, you know, when your company goes bankrupt, you're like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
So they lost a lot, and
Yeah.
and because I dealt with a lot of pilots, we lost a lot of young pilots because they said, I've got $150,000, you know, loan,
Right.
student loan, and I can't pay it back because I'm not flying.
Yeah.
You know, and same thing with the mechanics. The mechanics are the same way. You know, we've learned this, we've got a lot invested, and I can't pay my loan. I got to go work at the Ford garage.
And
you
that's
know?
what the school that you helped develop, that's what it's for, mechanics, right? Not for flying.
Airframe and power plant
Yeah.
mechanics.
Mechanics. Okay.
So in the next 3 to 5 years, that school
They're going to need more mechanics too, I
The
would
school's
assume,
going
right?
to double because they need more. I mean, there's as fast as you can hire them. I know. I've dealt with a couple of different companies and stuff. You know, like a couple of different airlines. They're making deals with schools like his that will say, "We will hire you now. You graduate, and whatever, you're hired."
Yeah.
You know, Delta, JetBlue, Allegiant, Frontier, they're all going to, because they were going to smaller airlines. Well, smaller airlines, the guys are saying, hey, I don't know, we're pretty stable here in the small airlines. I don't know if I want to go to the big guys, you know.
Right.
And so now companies like that are going to them and saying, we'll take your classes. We want your class. Tell them we will hire you. So before they even graduate, these guys are getting hired by airlines.
That's
you know,
awesome.
which is great.
Yeah.
You know.
So you feel the need and a demand, and it's going to be probably a big boom, you know?
Yeah.
So so with all that said, and my phone went dead, so I'm not sure where we're at.
Oh, no.
But so where do you find time to play around with dirt bikes?
You know, it's just kind of, you got to prioritize, you know, and I feel like, you know, I joke with the kids sometimes that, you know, there's 70-year-old men that could still keep working every day and not put in as many hours that I have. So I don't feel guilty about not getting my brother's been running the roofing company since 2016, the year that's when I started motocrossing. And my daughter turned 13 years old, and I'd realized that like I had never even sat down in a restaurant with him, and all I did was work. We never went to restaurants. We're very, very loving, close household. We're a very tight household. I mean, but just everything outside of work, we hang out every night still to this day. But when she turned 13, I kind of just had a moment, and I was like, it was within a few months that I hired my first manager, and over the course of a year or so, he didn't work out with just communicate. Nothing worked out good with him, and I was truly borderline thinking, because I just wanted to just truly settle down. No matter what I did in the future, I didn't want to be married to anything like that, as much as I did. I mean, I still loved it, and it was hard with everything I did to kind of make that decision. But my brother was having I was battling with the decision of even keeping on going, because I felt like I did myself justice to where I could make it. I could make it to the end of my life and still be able to help my kids some with my situation at that time. So I was like, I think I'll be just fine in doing this. And my brother was a really good welder working for a big company, but he was out of town a lot. And he's a very, very close family person like myself.
Yeah.
So I just told him, I said, would you want to just quit welding, come run this company?
You're talking about for the roofing company.
For the roofing, yeah. And he's always been a great people person. And I couldn't even finish the sentence. And he's like, yes, let's go. Let's do
Sold.
it. And I've had him with me for 6 months or so, just kind of showing him how I handled things. I'm a very calm person. I don't get mad. I'm not a yeller. I don't do none of that. And being working around roofers is pretty rare. Like a lot of the people that are in the roofing are just.
So you didn't go in the tough man contest yourself? Not saying you're not tough, but you didn't enter the tough man contest like some of your crew did.
No. I enjoy being there.
You spectated, yeah.
You enjoy his nose being still in the right direction and still teeth.
You like to be intact.
Yeah.
For sure. It's I enjoyed it, and he was happy to take on the position, and it was like not only just for him but for just the company in general was the best decision ever made. He's my older brother.
That's awesome.
And he is a extreme asset. I love him to death. He's
great to have family.
We can trust him, right?
Oh, God.
Trust him, and he knows the brand and knows you, knows how you want it done,
and he's truly made it his own. I mean, all the platinum conferences they have for any Owens Corning platinum contractor, you get not only do you have a really good relationship with Owens Corning's executives, but every year you go out to Vegas for a couple days, and it's just the platinum contractors and the executives. And I stopped doing that. He started doing it, and he's great friends with everybody. He's a sports
Now
person.
He loses everything that he made for the year in Vegas while he's there.
Right. Yeah. That's
fringe benefit.
That's right.
For sure. And he does just amazing with it. And like I said, he's a sports person, so all them executives and office guys are just big sports and statistics guys. And my brother graduated and did all the educational stuff, so he fits so much better in there than I do, because as you see, I'm a sweatpants type person, and they're all like blazer
suit and tie.
Yeah,
you want to get things done, not sit around and talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
get her done.
And I enjoy it. So
when did you go ahead, Marty?
I was gonna say, so you said at 16?
16 what?
2016?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm kind of picking up. You didn't grow up racing.
Oh no. That's the first time I ever rode dirt bike was in 2016.
Was it really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
So let's go through that real quick, because that's an interesting thing, because that's not typical, right? Most of us, when I say
Quit
us,
when we're his age.
well, yeah. You get your, well, that does happen. Who got you involved? How did you start doing it? Were you a fan beforehand?
No, not at all. I rode pedal bikes and stuff when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like not pedal bikes like they do nowadays. That's a whole nother level of skill. But I just I could always ride a really long wheelie on a pedal bike, Simple stuff that I remember being as a kid. I still, it's kind of crazy how you don't forget it. I can ride a mountain bike wheelie pretty far now. And
It's like riding a bike.
it's like riding a bike. But
Stupid dad joke, you know.
right. When I think of who got me into it, my buddy Rich, he's actually my gutter guy now. He was in motocross when he was a kid.
Okay.
And I remember being,
Rich Black.
yeah, they had a field in the back of their house, and I think I'd watched Rich race at the sports arena once or something. That's when they had like the races in the sports
Yeah.
arena.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Couldn't,
We did some sponsorship over there.
couldn't see a damn thing. There was so much smoke
So
in there.
it's smoky. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember
the
that.
two smoke
Headaches.
days.
You come out of there and
Yeah.
your headache was so bad.
Yeah. Not to digress, but I remember watching a race down there when I was kind of a kid, you know, and I saw my cousin across the stadium floor, and by the end of the night, I'm like, man, where the hell did Dave go? You know? But anyway, go
Only
on.
two
wild.
sections over, and you can't see him.
Yeah. And you were lightheaded when you left for some reason.
Yeah. He was like, he's the only dude around the whole neighborhood that had any sort of dirt bikes or anything, and we lived in the north end, so I just remember them spending more energy on keeping them locked up than they could ever really race
Oh
them.
man.
So they had a field in their backyard, or kind of like in their backyard, and I took the dirt bike for a ride one day, and I completely looped it out, and I bet I guess I'd probably be 13-ish.
Okay.
And I remember it was a 97. He always tells me it was a 97 Kawasaki 125. And he said still to this day it was his favorite bike.
Until you looped it out, right?
Looped it out. And his
Dislocated shoulder?
no, that first time happened at MX.
yeah.
So
Always first times.
Yep. So yeah, I rode it there, and that was pretty much it. Obviously, I was like, yeah, them things, they're pretty crazy. I enjoyed it, but that was pretty much the only time before 2016 that I rode a dirt bike. I did have a couple four-wheelers. Throughout the years, I used to do like a Sunday fun day for my guys. If we had a Sunday off or something, we'd go to Jim Probula's.
Oh, okay.
And I knew Jim for many years because I used to subcontract work off of him. And Jim Probula is he's a flat roof installer. He just does flat roofs, big commercial, McDonald's, Wendy's, stuff like that. And any shingle roofs that he got, he hooked us up with like Midwest contracting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He just ended up to the point he started trusting me enough. He just handed me their contracts. I do the shingle stuff for them. And if he still does do one, we just do the work for him.
Nice.
So I would take my guys up there, do some four-wheeling, and I had a dirt bike, I think in maybe 2014 or 15. It was a Honda 125, and just never rode it much. I remember it had a bad clutch and sat there for like a year or two because I didn't even never know where to buy parts or nothing. It was obviously before any of this.
Right.
So that just sat around. We had some four-wheelers, and that was kind of my motorsports before 2016.
So you got it. What was your first bike then?
In 2016, I bought a 2013 KX250.
KX250.
Yeah.
2-stroke or 4-stroke?
4-stroke.
4-stroke. Okay. Oh yeah. You said the year.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you go riding at Probula's, MX Express?
no, actually-
How did you get involved with this whole thing?
All right. So it's a good get some thinking here. So when I got the KX250, a friend of mine, Mike Kruger, he's actually he's a good friend of mine. He races.
I've heard of that name.
Yeah, he's Mike's probably
Mike
50,
and Jay.
51. Yeah, Mike and Jay. And he actually just yesterday got the Rockstar 450 that I had up at Championship.
Oh, okay.
And I decided to keep the Kawasaki this year. So I let Mike buy the Rockstar.
Marty's over there. He just got a rash. He
Yeah.
can't handle the non-husky talk.
I have to go and take some medicine.
All right. Well, it was just hard it was hard. I couldn't determine what made it a Rockstar besides graphics this year. Like every other year you got pipe.
That and the money.
Yeah.
The money makes it.
Yeah.
It makes it a
Right.
rock star.
Right. Pipe.
Add another $3,000, you're good.
Right. So I just kind of, the Kawasaki I got this year was totally hopped up, and there was like almost nothing done to the Husky. And I love Husky. That was still my main bike, I would say. But yeah, I got the 2013 250, And Mike was the only one I'd known at that time that still like rode dirt bikes. I was like, Mike, where do I, this was January, I think, when I bought it. I was like, dude, where can I go ride? He's like, dude, it's freezing. You don't want to ride right now? I'm like, shit, I got a coat. You know what I mean? Let's go. And he sent me to SVR. He's like, it's the only place that's open. He's like, go get a membership there. I was like, all right. So I brought my kids up, and when I got the 250, I ended up buying everybody bikes at that time. So I was like, well, let's go try it. Let's have fun. And go to SVR. That's when I had met, first day there, I met Tim and Hayden King. So that's how our circle to this day still sits.
Okay.
Is Tim was super welcoming. Obviously, he had been in it for a little while, so now when I look back on it, he's seen the greenness in me. He's seen the kind of gooniness, obviously.
Right.
The new rider. Just kind of everything that I kind of giggle at now. He had seen it. He was very, very helpful towards it. Helped me out with a lot of stuff in the beginning. His son Hayden as well, awesome kid. That's where I got into riding.
Nice.
That was the first place that I rode at. And as it got a little warmer, it couldn't have been probably a month into it where I might have broke my wrist, just because I was never scared to like jump stuff. So I was.
That makes sense. You're not really, the height thing doesn't really bother you.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But I learned somebody else said the words that made the most sense to me was that, hopefully I can say the words, but they said that my balls were a lot bigger than my skill level. So I was breaking a lot of bones. I think I've had probably 12, 13 surgeries since.
Have you really?
Yeah.
And
He'd dislocate your shoulder at least once every time he came to ride.
Yeah, that was
at the MX Express?
Yeah.
Did he really?
I'd turn around, I'd see him out there, and he'd get off his bike, his shoulders down there. Next thing you know, they got to put back in. He's out there. He goes and sits back for a moto or two. Then he's back on the bike again. It's like, what the heck
That
is
dirt's
he
so
doing?
soft, too.
Yeah, it's soft.
beautiful
all right.
dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I had some pretty bad crashes, and the shoulders were just the bad crash was always at MX Express. There was a single out of a corner, awesome jump, and I was like trying to go faster than I should have been, and Rich was actually there riding with me. He's like, dude, it's getting chopped up. You might want to stop jumping that. I'm like, no, it's fine. And before I know it, I'm at St. Luke's.
Yeah.
And that's when I had broke both shoulders and the tops of my arms at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
So it was
Hard to do some roofing after that for a little while.
One-handed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Rich came. I was trying to think. I was thinking that Rich came fairly quick after we opened because he was there a lot.
Yeah, Rich used to ride there back when it was zero gravity.
Yeah.
So he loved the place.
Yeah. Then he'd come out. And then, of course, you came with like 10 people all the time because everybody was riding and, coming along riding when he brought people in. Mm-hmm. The interesting part, which, it was funny. I was like, so here comes Rocky. He comes out there and starts riding. And he's a pretty good rider, And he's out there riding all the time. And then we got talking. He's like, yeah, I just started riding. It's like, really?
Right.
And it's the no fear that it made him ride like he's been riding for 10 years,
Right.
And it was so funny because I'm out there going like, really? You just started riding? He's
Right.
clearing stuff. And they're like, okay,
Yeah, that's an unusual, it's kind of another unusual pathway, no offense, to your story, right? Everybody's got a story and a chapter in a book, but I mean, that's kind of nobody really starts when they're, 30 years old. I mean, you were close to 30, right? I'm kind of doing the math.
33.
33, yeah. So, I mean.
32, actually.
Yeah,
I think with him is he rode with the Rich Blacks and he rode with who else? There was a couple other guys you rode with that were really fast that you were always trying to keep up with and battling back and forth.
Rich was like the main one because Rich is like
Pravila. Because Pravila wasn't really riding at that time.
Yep, Chris Fabiola.
Really super, super competitive. I mean, he was riding and rode really good. So you were always riding with fast people right off the bat. It wasn't like riding with me. He would come right out of the gate riding with some pretty fast people.
That helps. That helps.
That does.
Get
your
towed
learning
along a little
curve.
bit.
Your learning curve's not very steep.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you did that. So you're racing, right? And you're kind of all in. You're getting busted up once in a while.
Yeah.
So let's walk through the pathway of when's your first time at Delta? Was it that year? Your first year? Did you end up?
I don't think I made it out to Delta that year. Maybe I did, 2016 or 17. Yeah, I think that maybe I did go out there once or twice.
Okay.
It's hard to actually remember. I did an Ironman race. That's when I learned.
Too many concussions.
Yeah, it was the old Iron the stuff that people talk about the Ironman track. You know, when I look at the property now, obviously, it was cool, but it was like pretty. It was like a one line trail around through what was back there.
Right.
You know, and I had a great time, honestly.
You never got the race, and you didn't either. I don't think the really cool Ironmans, in my opinion, way back in the day, because they went back. I think you and I talked about when I toured on your Gator there. It used to go way to the west in that woods back in there. I mean, you used to cross the fields, go down in that woods, and you. I remember there was a ditch. It would like you go up off camber, and you know sometimes would cross the ditch and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It was probably 3 or 4 mile long course, and we used to get some pretty fast guys that would come out.
The Deltas when they had Best of the Midwest, and what was the other one?
That was in the 90s.
Yeah, the Best of the Midwest.
So you were here for that then?
In and out.
Yeah.
So, but the Best of the Midwest, and then what was the other one? They had another one too.
Stars of Tomorrow.
Stars of Tomorrow.
Yep.
So that's where my kids started riding.
Yep.
Right. So they started getting involved in that, which was a great. I mean,
Yeah.
both of those were great races. I mean, great weekends. For
Right.
Sure.
So
And
you're,
lots of people.
oh my gosh, yeah, tons of people. And there'd be a lot of guys. I mean, there'd be a lot of fast, not like there would be amateur level, A level, GNCC guys. There was a couple guys from Michigan that would come down. I remember racing against them. At the Ironmans. That was really cool. So you're doing the racing thing, and you're kind of getting involved with that, and so kind of.
Wait, back up.
Go
when
ahead.
did you start racing? Because you didn't race.
Not the first year.
I don't think I raced for a year or two, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know
just
you were
trying to-
always practicing. You were always at the practice track, week in and week out.
Yep. I think the very first race I did was the Melbourne. It was the only time I was there, and I'm signing up at the race, and obviously I'm asking people, and I would have been riding for a year or two, or at least a year, and I signed up. I actually won. I won the race there, and then I started racing. You know, it was just a good feeling.
What a track to start on,
Where's this at?
Melbourne.
I've never heard of it.
Did the train blow his whistle as he went by you?
Honestly, I don't really remember. I was
Where's
nervous.
this track at?
Ohio, Eastern Ohio.
Oh, on the other side of the state. Okay.
Canton.
Okay.
Is it Canton, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
Canton, over that.
Is it
way.
pretty gnarly or hilly?
Yeah,
or?
it's pretty. Well, Seth went over and helped them redo their track.
You thinking of Amherst?
Oh, that's Amherst, yeah. But well, Melbourne's still pretty gnarly though too. That's
Melbourne, I remember, was
Pretty
like a
hard
big
pack.
cereal bowl. Like
Yeah.
everything was kind of like in the center.
Yeah.
And it was like had like a big bowl to it.
That's how Delta.
I
That's how Delta used to be.
yeah, I liked it.
Amherst is really rocky. Amherst is
Amherst is very rocky.
very rocky. Yeah, that side of it. That's a it's really funny how the different terrains as you move up and down the east to west or north to south of Ohio, how the terrain changes so much. You get
Right.
over there, like you say, Amherst. That side of the
It's
state.
a beautiful part of the
so
state.
hard.
Yeah.
It's rocks.
It doesn't move. So flash forward to when did you, what year did you bought Delta before COVID, wasn't it? Was it 2020?
No,
2021?
we were into COVID because we
Yes.
opened into COVID.
in the fall.
Yeah.
Right.
And had to battle that.
Yes. Yeah.
So
'cause
you would have bought that in the late 20,
20,
right?
2020.
Yeah, 2020. I think
Yeah,
in
fall.
November-ish.
2020.
Yeah, in the fall, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to state for the record, since you guys are here, that I am, I'm a woods guy, but I'm just so glad that somebody from our local area got that track,
Absolutely.
because, I kept thinking, okay, because Paul Schlegel owned the track before you since 1968. And there's a reason I know that date, by the way. Documentary's coming along really well.
I just say how many months?
it's been a long project, but it's not to digress on it. This is about you, but it's like we got some edit stuff to it now, like actually soundtrack, and it's like, wow, this is actually this is going to be really cool. So that's the only details I'm giving here.
So you wonder why they charge so much.
Yeah, exactly.
The edits, you mean?
The editing.
Oh,
Yeah, the editing process. We had to basically take 8 hours of film and funnel it to 53 minutes.
Right.
And then add all the other stuff to it, So anyway, but that's really coming along, and I hope, knock on wood, that we can have something to watch in the fall. That's my goal. So
I hope so too, honestly, because after getting to know Paul, I don't think people realize how impressive his story actually is.
they don't.
No.
I don't.
I was like, it's crazy that he doesn't have like the the acknowledgement that he deserves.
The recognition. Yep.
Recognition.
Yeah.
That's a good word. It's like when I see, sitting in his house and stuff, and all these big posters, it got his address at the bottom. Send tickets to this address. I'm like, wow, this guy really did run all this stuff.
Yeah,
wow.
You sit there for 2 or 3 hours, and he gets the shoe boxes out and all that. Like, oh my gosh, the stuff that he had. He's got books. He's got track books and
motorcycles, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's like stepping back in time.
It's unfortunate. I think politics just played a lot. It's very political in a lot of that kind of stuff. And you almost have to know somebody that can get you that level.
Right.
And a lot of times, some of those guys that's at that level really never really had boots on the ground.
Right.
They weren't the ones out there doing the hard work.
Well, he would tell you he's not a rah guy. He's not. He wasn't the guy like, look at me. I mean, that's just not Paul, But what I hope there's two goals, So I hope that at the end of this documentary, when we hit it running here, is the person that doesn't know blank from Shinola that can leave and go, wow, I learned something about a guy from Toledo that did all this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is like, okay, to give him that recognition that he deserves. And whether you like that recognition or not, that's okay. We just want to tell his story, and do it in a professional, cool manner. But yeah, I saw some stuff the other day from Todd, and I'm like, man, I'm actually like really excited now that I saw that. Yeah. So yeah, it's really, really cool. So hopefully in the fall, but anyway, getting back to you buying Delta and making that work out, like I said, I think for his sake, in the history of the track's sake, it's great that somebody, within 15 minutes bought the place, because I'm not versed in, you guys know more because you operated tracks, but it's like, I would hate to see somebody from California, nothing against people from California, but somebody you don't know buying that thing, and then who knows what's going to happen. And you got to know Paul, you understand his wishes for the place. So I guess the question is, why? What was it about it? Why did you feel the need to step up and be generation 2 for Delta?
Honestly, I don't really, I don't know. I don't know if I have a reason why. Except for my way of thinking is that I feel like I kind of did myself good for the hand that I was dealt. And it was always my goal as a man in general to, and I know you're supposed to let your kids live their own lives, but I wanted to make sure that each one of my kids had their own, that I kind of wanted to start a path for them, and as much as I like being in equipment and running stuff, and I'm just learning about the whole promotional side of things, but my daughter, she went into an educational, she went to Notre Dame for school, and she's always wanted to be a veterinarian.
Great school.
She's my oldest, so she was set. I got a 15-year-old that he's one of the smartest kids you ever meet, and definitely super coming into his own, like now, especially in the last year or so. And I have an 8-year-old now. So those two, my daughter was set, and I didn't really want so much about my sons going into the construction industry and stuff like that. Not saying I wouldn't change anything about, my route of construction.
Right.
But knowing their personalities, and I was obviously raised way different, than what they're raised.
Right.
We're in a super mellow, loving household. And not saying I had a bad, my dad shot my mom, shot himself.
Oh, geez. I didn't know that.
So it was my mom is still alive, thank God.
Oh, wow.
My dad, he's not, he died when I was 10. And it was kind of the thought of, I wanted to make sure they had something. And after being around it long enough, I realized that with enough time and effort, and you look at like the numbers of like the bigger tracks, or even these smaller tracks that are very consistent, I felt like between like equipment and excavation, if I went and kind of taught them over the years, how to excavate, how to use a laser level, how to grade things, that it'll give them the smarts and the knowledge, it'll open doors for them.
Yeah.
And a motocross track, we're starting to love it. Obviously, we kept our family always close.
Right.
Campers, trucks, diesels. I mean, that's kind of, I love that stuff. And it was just one of those things that it kind of fit.
Yeah.
I never had no desires for it. And after thinking about it for a while and talking with Marty about it on the original stages, it was it just fit. It all went good, and I felt like it would leave them with something that they can make a living off of while still having fun and learning other, like excavation and heavy machinery. There's a lot of good occupation avenues.
Oh, yeah. Well, they need them too.
Hands-on is, no matter what you do, whether you're becoming an executive of a company or whatever, still hands-on still is the best basic education for anybody. There are too many executives, so they're glad to tell you what they think needs to be done, but have no clue what needs how to get it done.
Yeah, right.
So, a lot of times expectations are out there, and, company goes under and like, well, I told you, what we needed to do. Well, or what I wanted you to do, but needed to be done and how it needed to be done. Nobody had a clue, so they never could execute on this program,
Right.
But that's where, like I said, hands-on, is a big deal. And like I said, you stop and think about just the hard work, emptying garbage. Nobody likes to do that, but hey, that's the job. At the end of the day, you do all that kind of stuff, and then especially if you're with your family. I've been very fortunate. My family's been involved in our businesses since we've been married, and it is really, it's great to learn the basics and the hard work, and whether you're able to step in something nicer later on down the road, that's great and fantastic. But, I can't even, my grandmother taught me mechanics. My grandma did,
Really?
And she got to a point where she couldn't do it. So she would sit in her chair and, her lawn chair, and she'd tell me, okay, we're going to change the starter out, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to climb underneath here, and you disconnect this, and just, that kind of stuff is worth more than,
oh, yeah.
Any number of years in college you can do.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry, but, it really is. And
The smartest people I've met are some of the people that I've never even stepped foot into college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, honest to goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about again, not to digress, but I think about my in-laws, my wife's family, all farmers. I mean, they didn't go to school, but they ran a 50-year-old, 4-generation farm just fine and growing, and you know what I mean. And
they can tell you the weather better than any weather guy on TV.
Right.
Right down. I mean, they can probably tell you right down to the next few minutes it's going to rain.
I think the term for what you're trying to do, Rocky, with your kids, and I think it's awesome, is diversity. Right? I mean, you're a diverse skill set.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe your sons won't want to own the track someday or operate it or whatever, but maybe they'll be an electrician because they were working on the poles out there. And we had Mr. Mayo on the podcast, and he's been electrocuted 2 or 3 times out there.
Mr. Sparky.
Mr. Sparky. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank God he survived, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of a couple close calls for him there, but I mean, there's stuff. Yeah. I mean, you're teaching them. I mean, it's
back to
awesome.
like talking about the team. As a family, it's a team anyway. I mean, because you are a family. and that sort of teamwork, and getting things done around the house. So when you go out into a project like that, my kids always, used to always rag on me all the time because it's like, you wouldn't expect, this from your employees. I was like, no, but I know how you were raised. I know how you were taught, and I know what to expect out of you. So, the level of expectations is here compared to employees, and they didn't get that way by not doing things or even proving that they could do that, so pushing them and making them do, do things that they necessarily want. Next thing you know, it's like, man, they're really good at stuff.
That's how my dad was with me. I remember at the nursing home, it was like 2 summers in a row, I had to restone the pond. We got this big pond there. And somebody said, well, aren't you going to get them equipment and stuff? And my dad's, no. You can do it by hand. So I had to load buckets of stone, and it took me like a week 5-gallon buckets, just had to stone the whole damn thing all the way around. It's like, I look back, I'm like, man, is that some kind of slave labor type of thing? It's like,
is there a law against that?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if that's like legal now, but anyway,
how good did that last bucket feel?
Oh
yeah,
gosh!
When you look back and looked at it.
Well, then we had all these stupid. I shouldn't say stupid ducks. I'm an animal guy. But I mean, these, and then they'd run up the thing, and the stones would go in the water. I'm just, why are you,
But it's like mowing the lawn. I love to mow the lawn. Mow that lawn. You get done. You go back out and you look at it, thinking, man, that looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's unfortunately a lot of people just don't get that satisfaction.
I do.
A good, well done job.
A good job. Yeah.
And to me, that's what it's just like ripping the track.
Right.
Man, you rip that track and you step back and you're like, man, that looks cool.
Yeah, I saw your video the other day. Was it Sunday or Mother's Day or something? You were taking a video around. It was just perfectly groomed.
You just look at that and
really
you
nice.
think, you like, man, when you're doing it, you're like, man, I'm tired. But then no matter how you do, you spend 10 hours doing whatever, then you get back out and you look at that thing and going, that's gorgeous,
So I got to ask, because this is kind of a funny story, but what is because you hear all kinds of chatter, but what is the deal with the big jumps? Was that your marquee for the Delta? Like the big, I got to share this. So I was donated some logs and stuff to Rocky in the track and was hauling them out there. And he's like, well, let me show you around. So I'm talking about woods. He's talking about motocross. And I think we were on your gator. He's like, man, I just can't do the woods. He's like, you see that tree over there? It was like 30 feet away. He goes, that tree just scares the hell out of me. I said, you see that jump over there?
Right.
I said, that jump scares the hell out of me. So it was just kind of a funny thing. But anyway, you got some big ones out there, man.
I don't, for every big triple, that the triple has a double. And I feel like, for one, it's just, if you look at a track, if you don't see elevation change, you don't see those big jumps, it just don't have a lot of appeal. And I feel like everything we're doing is very safe. There's the first, it takes time to get everything to that point.
Right.
But over almost all the practices and races last year, I think there might have only one kid tried jumping our big jump on a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome kid. He just banged himself up pretty good. And
problem is 4-wheelers don't go away from you. The bike will go away from you, but the 4-wheelers, for some reason, they like you.
Yeah.
They just want to bite you. No matter what you do, they just want to go. Bike, I can get loose and hopefully hit the ground, and the bike's not going to hit me. But boy, those 4-wheelers, man, they just chase you right to the ground.
Yeah, that's I do. I think they're dangerous, but the guys that ride them love them, and I would like to incorporate them back in a couple. Try to give everybody a place to ride.
Yeah.
But, when you start, until you actually start doing the track prep and actually riding a lot and getting better at things like ruts and stuff, you realize that, to get a track good and deep and hold moisture, and to develop ruts like that, and then have a 4-wheeler come in and just wipe them all out, just burn around the corner.
3 laps,
and then you're dealing with the flat track, and you can't.
They make great berms.
Yeah, or the end day prep. You could let the 4-wheelers ride last to just flatten everything back out.
Yeah, make great berms.
And what the 4-wheelers don't realize is that, and this is something obviously I learned because this has all been a huge learning curve for me. I I'd never even sat on a piece of equipment before I bought that place.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I've never operated nothing like that. A skid steer, that's it. But that was just for my own stuff at home and stuff like that. But if a four-wheeler comes and flattens out all that nice moist dirt, spits it all over, it puts it down to pretty much like a clay base. And then if you water that, then it's slick, and then you can't really, it's hard to, I've learned to accept over this past year a little bit of dust and stuff on the jumps. As much as I despise dust, you have to kind of let it be there because it's safer.
Yeah.
If you water the face, you can get rid of the dust with one lap. I built a pretty awesome water truck. You can I can have an easy solution to get rid of the dust right away, but then it becomes dangerous. So when people start seeing dust, and you'll hear, obviously, that's one of the hardest parts that I learned with this motocross world is that you obviously can't please everybody.
Well, that's a question I wrote down. What has been your biggest challenge? And I think you just answered. It's just like we talked about in the beginning, the public, right? I mean,
my biggest challenge would be, anybody that knows me personally knows that in a couple of years, what I've kind of explained the vision of what it's going to be in a couple of years. So my biggest challenge would be not just hiring somebody to come in and do all this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I couldn't do that, but this property has given me so many surprises. I mean, you could go to just build something or move some dirt and then find a car under the ground. I mean, or
Tires.
a fire truck under the ground. I mean,
showed me that one.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Yep.
I started ripping because, of course, it hadn't been ripped down the straightaway, right? And I started ripping down there, and I started breaking tines, and what the heck? I mean, I've worked clay before, We finally got down deep enough that we started picking the tires out. We probably picked out 50 tires that were in the off the gate.
Yeah.
That straightaway down
Right.
through there. And we just every time we'd go down through there, we kept ripping deeper and deeper, and you kept bringing more tires up and more tires up and more tires up. It's like, are we growing them? Or what's going
Right.
on?
Well, they used a lot of just almost everything for a filler. They
Right.
kind of dig and then fill. And I just call it an extreme blessing of just thousands and thousands of loads of dirt from that new steel plant. I mean, it couldn't have been, it was the man upstairs helping me out,
Yeah.
helping the whole area out, I guess, because obviously as that dirt came in, I had to get extra bulldozers and everything just to keep up with the trucks.
Really?
Yeah. So
just to get it moved around and stuff.
I mean, the starting area alone is like 14 feet higher than it ever was, and you don't even notice that. I mean, you don't even see that until you look at old pictures, and then still you ain't out there with the laser, you don't
Right.
physically know it, but
A lot of dirt's down those woods.
What's that?
I said a lot of dirt down those woods.
Oh yeah.
Washed it all off into the woods.
Oh yeah.
And that's property wise, the biggest challenge. I'd have to answer that in two different ways. Dirt bike wise, the biggest challenge, and I feel like I got it dialed in now, was our drainage and not losing your good dirt. Like I said, between all the time Seth and I have out there, we're out there, Seth's full time. So we're out every single day out there just working on just different ideas of this drainage, culverts, just different elevations to keep the dirt there, but
Yeah.
also allow the water to drain.
Right.
So we've incorporated a bunch of 1s and 2s in drainage areas to just a lot of stuff like that. So dirt bike wise, that's the biggest challenge.
It's a science.
Yeah.
It's almost like a
Lot of
science
work.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just practice. Try it. Works great. If it doesn't, try something different.
And I bet you love, I'm just assuming, I bet you love the racer or the rider that just shows up and, well, can't you just do this over here? No, it's not how it works. It's like, you can't just snap your fingers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not how it goes.
Well, everybody, gosh. And again, I made the mistake of obviously telling people that I'm totally brand new to this. So everybody knew more than me, obviously. I've had grass cutters. I've had everybody and their brother tell me what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And it's not, they could have been right. They could
Right.
have been wrong. I don't really know, but
Right.
that's the reason and this will kind of answer the question about the other toughest thing that I've dealt with is that you can take in other people's ideas. You can kind of try them when they're not looking. You can, well, what if it did work? I truly believe in listening to other people's ideas. I don't know it all by any means.
Sure.
So I have, I appreciate it, man. And if they don't see you doing it right away, they think you don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I've taken that all in. I've tried just about everything. And the biggest thing that, like I said, was hard was just still trying to, I've gotten myself deeply into being out here every day, obviously, because I can't go and hire somebody to do this, not even knowing what my final plan is yet. I'm going to do camping around the whole track. So it's hard to do something permanent and build something that's going to be everlasting when nothing is, I don't even have a final design yet.
Right.
Like I still got to move the pond. I still got to do so much stuff that I still got woods to clear. It's like, and I got to fit all this in along with building buildings to keep my equipment in, putting new bathrooms, putting all this other stuff that people don't see.
Right.
And it's like, I could have somebody come in and build this building. Yeah, I could have them do this, but I got a little bit of an OCD issue. So if I don't like paying or even have anybody doing stuff twice.
Right.
So like I said, the biggest challenge would be just listening or hearing, people's thoughts. Oh, he ain't even, look, he's just barely getting by doing the lights. He's just barely going, he's just doing that. He's just like, geez, you have no idea.
The place hasn't changed in 40 or 50 years. And then,
Right,
And then,
right.
you're not fast enough.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like,
with the light situations, it's a tough deal because you've changed the track completely around.
right.
So just when you finally get somewhat of a permanent track, then you can do lights. But you can't do lights any quicker because you'll go, oh crap, now I don't have a light over here.
Right. Right.
Or like, wow, we have 4 lights there that really don't do nothing. So
Yeah.
and the expensive lights, you just can't do it twice. It's got to be that's probably, unfortunately, with if you were running the track the way it was before, you could have done lights, right? Could have done them all, right?
Right.
Say, okay, here it is. You don't change nothing. You don't have to worry about it. But when you change the whole situation, it's like, whoa, we got to, first of all, things are changing so much. What we could have bought for lights 2 years ago, the
gosh.
lighting now is totally different, so it's changing. So again, the biggest thing is, like you said, getting that exact, well, you'll never get exact, but getting that, basic design. That's okay. Now we can put the lights, we're covering, but that's the hardest thing in the world to get a track lit, especially the kind of ground. I mean, how long is the track now?
A little over a mile.
Little
Is
over
it
a mile.
really? Wow.
But it covers, so here's it. We were right at a mile at MX Express.
You were a mile there?
Yeah. But we were in this, but we were,
Right.
So for me to light it, 24 lights, I got the whole freaking thing lit, right? With him, 5, 6, 8, 10 lights would cover maybe a corner,
Right.
So it's a tough deal.
You got a mile on 20 acres.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Probably 20
And I had
acres,
it I had it on 7,
Right.
so.
Right.
But yeah.
That's an interesting perspective. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great talking point from track operators.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not something that you would even think about as a racer.
Yeah.
Well,
So go ahead.
no, I was just going to say it would be simple to light the track if I was married to the layout.
Right.
Or something like that. But so me that's what I feel like our local area has greatest going for them for our track is that I still ride the track myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like a rideable track. I like a deep track, but I also see the dark spots. So somebody don't have to come and complain to me. I
Right.
see what's going on.
Right.
And
You acknowledge it, right?
yeah, absolutely. So but it's hard to do that stuff. Like, well, I think I still might want more of the night track in the sand.
Yeah.
I might want this, and I might want that. So I can have, a couple people throw up light poles and lights and wires in a couple days. That's not the hard part. It's that I don't want to put it there and then have to pull poles out of the ground.
Right.
And it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's
Wire's expensive.
What is your vision for the place? What is because I've heard all kinds of different chatter, but
well, I don't know if my vision for it, what will bring to the table here, just whether it be 2 years or 3 years down the road, is that a full, nice, big, huge spectator venue. You know, like an old Toledo Speedway. You know, whether you're into dirt biking or not, it'd be a place you can bring your family with good, clean, you know, bathrooms, big concessions, just packed stands. You know, the riders alone, like I like a good track because I race. I like to, you know, my kids race. I'll always have a good track. But like all the stuff, all the amenities and stuff that we work on, getting the power under the ground, all the, you know, all the conduits and stuff that obviously people aren't seeing, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff that are going underground.
Right.
Getting prepared for the camping, getting prepared for all this stuff. So it's it'll be like that weekend place, you know, where you can camp.
You want to put full RV hookup? Is that your
Oh
goal?
yeah, and that won't be like, there won't be campers staying there. It
Right.
won't be like a campground,
Right.
but it'll be a you know, the racers will be treated first, obviously, with their rigs and their campers, and then this it'll be a spectator venue. You know, like there'll be packed stands there. It'll be what you hear about FAI and stuff will be like the Delta Raceway. You'll hear it all over the media. You hear, hey, you know, if you ever go get a hot dog, go watch the crazy dirt bike guys.
Right.
You know, you won't have to be in this sport to be there to watch it.
Right.
And
And we started. That's the way we started. The boys, before they started racing, they had 4-wheelers and, you know, some bikes and stuff. But we'd go to Delta Saturday night to get a hot dog.
Yeah.
You know, the only downfall, like you said, was we went to the bathroom before and after we were there. You know, you didn't use the restrooms when we were there. You know what I mean? And so that's the only thing bad about it is a lot of people. It's great if you have your own camper, right?
Right.
But if you were there to spectate,
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, back in the day, there was lots of spectators. you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
right? But, you know, my parents went, we went, the kids went, you know, friends went with
Right.
us, you know. But, you know, it's nice to where you can actually go and be able to go and use the restroom and wash your hands and be, you know, have it something.
Yeah, it's the amenities, right?
It is.
You
It
gotta,
is. It's
you got
all
to
about-
have it because if the track up the road's got it, then you got to.
Well, you know,
Gotta do it that way too, you know?
just an offshoot story of, Watkins Glen Raceway. You know, Watkins Glen has had everything from Grand Prix to, you know, all kinds of racing, NASCAR, whatever. And, you know, for the years, it was an interesting place. You know, the outhouses were outhouses, you know,
Right.
and, you know, there really wasn't running water and there wasn't any of that kind of stuff. And Corning Glass or Corning Incorporated bought that track, you know, and the first thing they did is cleaned up the stands. Put nice bathrooms in, you know,
Right.
cleaned out some of the area, the people that were a little rougher, you know, they got a spot, but
Right.
it was not where I had to walk over them to go to the infield, you know,
Right.
and that made, I mean, just all of a sudden, then NASCAR came on, you know, on board after they did that. I mean, they made, you know, they made such a great venue
Right.
that now people, that was their destination.
Right.
You know, hey, you know, take the camper over and camp. I'm not racing, but I'm going to go over and camp and hang out and be able to do whatever, you know.
I think you'll get. I mean, I assume it's going to take again time and patience and money and investment. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe the day I went out there. I was like, I can't believe what he's done in the place. But that's exactly what needed to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, it hadn't been touched in 68 to
Well, you know,
2018 is what? Is that 50 years or so?
probably,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, you can see, you know, and I'm sure you can see too, Barry's mentality. You know, Barry was a one-man show, realistically,
Yeah.
and you know, doing the thing. And so for him to go in and try to put a lot of hours in, he could never get it done.
Right.
You know, everybody talked about, oh, it needs to be ripped, And doing what he did took him 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
How long does it take you to rip the track? Even the old track. How long did it take you to rip the track? You know, we had a couple of tractors going and doing all kind of stuff. It'd take you 10 hours to rip
Yeah.
that track to what it would, almost what it needed to be. It wasn't even great because you just never got it. So, you know, and then if it rains on a ripped track, you got mud.
It never rains at Delta.
No. But, you know, so if it rains it, you know, if you rip it, you got mud.
Have you found any signs about that out there, by the way? Is there any signage out there? Never rains at Delta.
I have not.
I don't
You
know.
haven't found anything like
don't
that?
know.
I remember there used to be
Sign that said that.
that was a Paul thing.
Yeah.
You know, it never rains at Delta, but I just.
But
curious.
yes,
if you ever
so-
find something like that, shoot me a text. I'll come out and take a picture.
But that's, you know, that's really why Barry didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because he needed to be able to go in, get it ready. Well, especially when he was running 2 tracks, Friday night and Saturday night. He left Friday night, came here Saturday morning, got prepped ready for, you know, Saturday night. So for him, there wasn't much change in the track.
No.
You know, he didn't have the staff to do it.
Didn't have the time.
And didn't have the equipment to do it. And again, he has a racetrack. He wants to race every weekend.
Right.
And for like me in the practice side of life, if it rains and floods me out, I close.
Right.
Rocky can't come ride in practice,
Right.
you know. But if Rocky's running a race and trying to compete with points and all that kind of stuff, it better be pretty good,
Right.
you know, come Saturday, because I'm looking to race,
Right.
And I'm looking for points, and I'm looking to do that. So, as a track, you know, as me as a practice track, or him as a racetrack's two different setups,
Right.
You know, for me, oh well. For
And
him, he's got 100, 200 people wanting to race, and they're not a happy camper because they're fighting for points.
And you're doing both practice, right, and racing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Trying to get on a consistent schedule.
Yeah. Has there been any, out of curiosity, any gems that you found, or anything that we kind of went through the challenges, but has there been surprises, like, you know, something you found laying in the weeds, or any kind of cool
Gold
nostalgicness, or
old fire trucks?
I mean, honestly, yeah, it was just so much stuff. I mean, I've literally, like I said, getting ready to run some conduit or something, run into a whole foundation of a building, like stuff that had to have been way before a racetrack.
the farm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like just tons of stuff. Just many mountains of concrete that I had. I started embracing it, you know, for like drainage blockers and stuff. Before I'd put a culvert in, I would start using it. So for the first time, you know, I was hauling concrete out, paying a fortune to dump it when I could have been utilizing it in other areas, you know. So just, I can't really say I found anything good. I have learned to despise T-posts. I mean, I've ruined a lot of attachment blades, because like clearing woods and stuff with,
Yeah.
you know, I got some of the attachments that are, you know, I pretty much run all Caterpillar equipment. And when you get
Yeah.
into like these, you know, $50,000 mulching, you know, mulchers and stuff like that, that don't like goat fence, it don't like T-posts. And it's, you know, it's
Makes pretty sparks for a minute.
yeah.
Well, when you and I walked out there that time, when you guys were involved in that fall, I remember, just because, you know, of course, Rocky's tearing the woods down, and I'm going out looking in the woods.
Matt was trying to save them so much.
Save the trees.
He was gonna chain himself to a couple, but we talked him out of it.
And I'm not tearing the woods down. I got to be able to maneuver them, because we're going to have a one-way, and, you know, we're going to have a one-way loop. You'll be able to
Yeah.
come in and then back out.
Hey, I'm not here to.
I love trees myself. I just planted 68 of them, like around all the new fencing and stuff like
Nice.
that. So,
And that'll be a nice long-term, you know,
for shade. It's all planted for shade. Like the direct, you know, time of the day is where like the bigger ones are, so they'll shade the track
Nice.
in certain areas. You know, that's the stuff.
Keep the moisture in.
Yeah.
Keep the moisture.
Yeah.
So
But I was just.
We're blowing past our hour for sure, aren't we?
We are. We could wrap it up.
So-
but man, I've had a good time talking.
Yeah, well, you know, I want to make sure that everybody understands, though, that realistically, Rocky could not let Delta go. We couldn't afford to lose another track.
No.
You know, everybody kept saying, well, you know, Delta will be there always, but it doesn't necessarily have to be there. If it would have went away and been dormant for 2 or 3 years, the town would have annexed it, or, you know, it would have been a situation where it's been gone.
Right.
You know, too many tracks. You see too many tracks that just disappear. And it's
Right.
either because it goes dormant and people get used to no noise, nothing going on, and now they like that, you know,
Right.
so they don't hear down in town. They're not hearing motorcycles going off down in town. They're like, well, this is a Saturday night. It's pretty quiet, you know? And the next thing you know, it's like, no, you know, we don't want them to start back up.
Right.
And people, unfortunately, have a lot of control sometimes.
Well, I mean, quite frankly, we're not in a sport where everybody likes us.
Exactly.
I mean, we
Yep.
deal with that at the forest, you know,
Yeah.
and
So, you know, like I said, it was so important to get that thing continually, never
Yes.
let a day, you know, that's like, you know, when we went in and said, you know, we started talking to Barry, it's like, my thought is you can't go a year, even with the COVID, you couldn't go a year without using it.
right.
Because like say, once it's out of sight, or out of mind, out of sight, or out of sight, out of mind, whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? It gets scary. And just think of all the tracks around. I know I come from Pennsylvania where we had a lot of stuff going on, and next thing you know, trails and tracks and stuff, you know, sort of went by, it slowed down, and somebody says, we're out of it. And then they're gone.
They're gone.
You know, and they won't
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, they won't.
You know, too many people, you know, that gets into a place that can, you know, move you political again, you
Right.
know, and you have a design for something else that they're doing. I mean, probably, you know, you've got probably one of your biggest issues would have been the new housing there behind the school, you know, being fairly close. You know, now you're going, oh crap, now you got people, you know, putting nice homes back in there and townhomes and all that kind of stuff, you know. So like brand new people that never had to worry or deal about it.
Right.
Because I think all the neighbors there's the people across the street, nice. They came over, you know, and you know, we used to have the ice cream guy come through. So their little grandkids would want to come over. Said, can we come over and get some ice cream? You know, like, sure, go on, you know. And
Right.
they, you know, they never thought nothing about it. And then, you know, we saw the cars lined up down all the way into Delta. And I'm thinking, oh, dear, you know, the neighbors, the cops didn't even show up. You know, it was like, okay, where's the cops? You know, and it's like, geez, you know, but people were so used to it, you know, that it was no big deal, you know.
Have you had any challenges, kind of like what Marty's alluding to, with the, not challenges, but with kind of the politics, the village council, or
Exactly the opposite.
really,
I mean,
they've been embraced you?
Oh,
embraced you.
they're going to go, letting a little cat out of the bag here, but one of the big things that I've always seen at our motocross track, I wanted the biggest flag in Ohio. So what I thought was the biggest flag when I first got going, I was just about to have installed, is not the biggest. So the biggest one, that between the foundation, everything it takes to put it in, is about $100,000.
Wow.
The biggest one in the state of Ohio. So I'm working with Delta, actually, just a random thought I had one day to see if they would want to pitch in on it, and they're going to help out with it.
Now,
Just
will it say Toledo Trail Riders anywhere on it? Probably not.
At the base.
You know, you know what it says, I'm not sure, but it'll say America, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
You know, it's funny because when we were down buying parts and after parts after parts after parts, trying to put the water together and stuff, it was so funny because it wasn't long when you go in the hardware store, you go in the Napa store, you go in the 7-Eleven or the Speedway.
Yeah.
People knew who you were.
Right.
You know, and they were happy because, I mean, in the primo days there, you know, we'd come down, come in there, stop at the Speedway,
Go to 7.
get a bunch of ice,
Yep.
usually get some soda or some Gatorade, you know, and sometimes gas, you know, and then you come in. So they're packed. You know,
Right.
a lot of times you couldn't pull in to get gas. You had
Right.
to take your can up there to get gas because you couldn't pull in there. It was full.
Right.
And, you know, Main Street, but you got like 109, you know, even Winchester's, you know,
Right.
when it was like that, people would, you know, they'd have, you know, get something to eat or come in there. And, you know, the amount of money that was really spent, and people really didn't think about it. The amount of money that's spent in that little town.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got ice cream down there. You've got all, you know, you got a couple different restaurants, and, you know, it's a big deal. So that's why, you know, when, not to say anything bad about anybody, but when you have 20 people show up the track, it really doesn't make a big splash.
It's not an impact.
You know?
Yeah.
You have 150 or 250 people. Now the money's coming back into these people and going, oh man, wait for Saturday. You know, we better put another person on.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because we're gonna be busy.
Right.
You know, and so, but you know, you see people, they come in with Subway.
Right.
You know, you see them, they come in, they got food.
I like that Subway. It's got a drive-through.
Yeah,
right there
yeah,
in Delta.
exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
But you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and you stop and think about that, you know, and it'd be interesting to know. It's a little harder for smaller communities, but bigger communities, you know, like the Port Authority, they can tell you how much revenue is being brought in and how much stuff. Like if they went, I'm sure, if you guys went with your aviation thing and said, okay, Toledo, you know, Port Authority, hey, we're doing this. What does this mean to the community?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of dollars?
Impact.
It's called an impact study.
Yeah. And because they can tell you, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, they, even with us, you know, of what we were paying our people and how many people we're handling, all that kind of stuff, they can tell how much, you know, it was because the airlines being working and that kind of stuff. So, you know, even with, you know, our business that we had in back, they want to know how many employees we had,
Right.
the diversity, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's a huge deal to the, you know, to the communities once they get a hold of it.
Right.
You know, once they can use it for numbers, because they can use that for numbers, you know, when they say, hey, you know, we have 3,000 people that show up here on Friday, on Saturday night.
Right, right.
You know, that makes a big deal.
Well, I tell you too, you know, you throw your logo in that, I'm sure you probably have thought about it in that high school program, you know, the football program.
Yeah.
You know, that little stuff like that goes a long way, you know, and it's not that expensive to, you know, but yeah, I mean, you
Donate to the fire department.
fire department, you know,
Always
all
a good
that.
one.
It's a good community thing, and
Yeah.
it's and I'm sure you're doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see. It really is. You know, all the changes you're making and all the vision that you have to take it to the next level. I think it's awesome. Yeah, so we're here to applaud you, and I'll watch from afar. I'm not going to jump your jumps
I'm
because they
afraid of
scare
heights, so I
they
won't
scare
be
the
working
snot out
on
of
doing
me.
roofs, and I won't be jumping any jumps.
You guys are always welcome to.
We'll leave
If I
that to
jump
the
off
experts.
if I jump off the tailgate, that's as far as I'm getting. That's as high as I'm getting.
You want to take this time, Rocky, before we wrap up and thank. You got anybody to thank or anybody you want to acknowledge before we wrap it up?
You know, I for everything at the track and in my life in general, you know, I have as I get a little older, I realize that I had a huge problem with trusting people my whole life, obviously, just because where I'm from. But I've grown to learn the last couple of years I have a pretty strong support system, you know, whether it took me a while to accept that. So just my family in general. Everybody I've met in motocross that is has been truly supportive. Even if you're not supportive, even if you come and, you know, ride the track and, you know, you want to give me all your complaints, just know that I do listen to them. I can't solve everything. But in general, I do want to thank everybody that's in my corner or, you know, that just has good positive vibes for me, you know, and if they don't, you know, I'll always work for it. You know, I won't say it'll make me lose sleep at night because I believe in God and I believe that, you know, what's going to happen is going to happen regardless. But I thank everybody that's in my life.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
Well, we're certainly rooting for you. I mean, it's like I said, it's. I think it's just awesome what you're doing out there.
Just make sure the hot dogs are good over there again, so I can come back over and have a hot dog.
Yeah. I think just keep working at it, and I'm sure it'll all work out for you greatly. And I think the changes you're making is really cool, and the improvements and all that kind of stuff. So keep at it, man. You're doing a heck of a job. We're all proud of you, and the detractors, you know, you're always going to have them no matter what. So we see it on our Facebook page. I saw one the other day. I just I'm not even going to respond. This guy's a complete utter idiot, and I'm not going to give him any attention. You know,
Yeah.
he wants to, you know, stoke the flames, and you know he wants to rise, and I'm not gonna go there. So
I struggle with that.
it's so hard too. You just want to pull your hair out. Well, I mean, you guys have hair. I don't, but you know what I mean. It's like I want to pull my eyebrows out, right?
There you go.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know. It's best to just let it ride, I guess. So, but Marty, you got anything else you want to chime in before we wrap up?
Rocky for hanging out with us after only took us a couple of months to get him over here, and because we were always busy and crazy.
Well, it's
we got it now.
We got him now.
So now we're on a roll.
Appreciate you guys having me.
He's going to be here now. We can get some more.
Absolutely, get them lined up. We got a busy summer. As we wrap up, we want to thank our guest Rocky Conley for joining us for episode 6. We also want to thank you for our audience for supporting our podcast too. Until next time, get out and ride, and remember to leave the sport you love better than you found it. On behalf of my co-host Marty Wheeler, I'm Matt Bucher. Stay safe, everyone.